Hello, everybody, and welcome to your Mercury Retrograde All Signs reading. Joining me again today is my good friend and highly intuitive Chris Reck from Minopontero. Hey, Chris, what's going on?
Hey, not much. What's going on with you?
Just looking at all these major things that we've been dealing with in February.
Yeah,
I've got a feedback here
on your side.
on my side. Sorry. Thought I had that muted. Okay. Well,
There we go.
was that a
Mercury
Mercury
retrograde.
retrograde
That
moment
was
or
per-
not?
that
I
was
promise
perfect.
you I muted that before we went live. Okay. So
Perfectly
thank you,
timed.
Mercury, for reminding all of us what we're about here. So by the time we all wake up tomorrow, most of us, well, maybe not
hmm
on some parts of the world, but I think it's like 12:48 p.m., 12:48 a.m. Central tomorrow, February 26th. We have Mercury stationing retrograde. So that means that the planet of communication, short distance travel, writing, the planet that rules Virgo and Gemini, the sixth house topics and the third house topics, is going to be asking you to do things differently, to review how you communicate, how you share things, and it really is an opportunity to make things a little easier. But they all have their little quirks every time we go through a Mercury retrograde. So I was going to go over some of the dates, but I was going to start off by asking you, Chris, have you felt the fact that Mercury has already begun? It's already been in shadow for a while. I believe it was like February 11th. What do you normally notice with the Mercury retrograde?
Yeah, and this one, I think I said it in a reading that I definitely noticed. I've had like some technology issues going on, so I've definitely noticed that. But communication's been okay, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too worried about this one.
Yeah, I'm not as worried about it either. It is staying in the sign of Pisces the entire
Yep.
retrograde. Sometimes we'll have it retrograde back into the previous sign. So that helps a little bit. And then it will be trining Jupiter here and there as we go
hmm
through. So, but a couple of things to keep in mind. So, first of all, like I said, it stations direct on February 26th. It will be at 8 degrees of Pisces, and it will, excuse me, 22 degrees of Pisces. This is what I wanted to point out, 22 degrees and 33 minutes.
hmm
So that's kind of interesting. It's like two
hmm
repeating numbers there. 22 degrees and 33 minutes of Pisces is where it stations retrograde, and then it goes all the way back to 8 degrees in 29 minutes
hmm
of Pisces is what it's going to say on March 20th. So if you want an easy reminder of what day does Mercury finally go direct, it's the spring or fall equinox, depending on where you are in
hmm
the world. So the same day that Mercury goes direct, we have the sun move into Aries. So that's an easy remember. Just go ahead
hmm
and do a lot of extra dotting of your I's and crossing T's really until April, because we have this thing called the post shadow period where Mercury is still moving back through the degrees that it already went past. So usually it's better to just go ahead and wait until it's completely out of shadow, which I believe is like April, I don't know, I want to say April 11th. I thought I had it in my notes, but I don't. So, but yeah, so just keep all of March as in your mind, like starting now at the time you're
hmm
hearing these messages through early April as a time to just really reread those emails before you hit send.
hmm
If you're not getting through to somebody, try a different approach, or just don't even like it. I would even say if you're normally somebody who just tells it like it is, maybe you're approaching it differently with an email or a text and giving people a chance to process the message you're sending before the confrontation. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm a non-confrontational person. I prefer to send a text or a voice memo or an email if it's a little bit tricky, but I think sometimes things get lost in that. So a lot of times
Yeah.
with Mercury retrograde, I need to just go ahead and have the face-to-face conversation
hmm
so they can hear the inflection and see the facial expression and see what I mean by it. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. Oh, here I have my notes right here. April 9th through April 9th is when it'll
Okay.
be out of shadow. Now, the big thing I wanted to bring up is you and I did a reading on the eclipse season, the first eclipse season
hmm
last month, or actually as early this month. So if you missed it, check it out or go back and watch it again because it still applies here. Because on March 3rd, we have the second eclipse of this year, a lunar eclipse at 12 degrees of Virgo. So Mercury rules Virgo. So now we have this extra energy here. Not only is Mercury retrograde, but there's this big eclipse. And so there's going to be a lot of things revolving around this eclipse with third house topics, which is short distance travel, siblings, neighbors, publishing, and sixth house topics, which is your health and your animals and your day-to-day work, your daily tasks. So you might want to think back to late September about what kind of things were going on for you in 2025, because you may be reviewing some of those topics, rethinking them. And you might be saying, okay, I committed to these daily habits in September. Are they really working? Is there a better way to do this? And, it's an opportunity to see what's not really working. So what about you? Did you notice anything in September that happened with that eclipse that might be coming up for you with this retrograde?
I don't remember.
Late September.
I don't even remember what I was doing in September. So I don't remember, honestly.
Yeah, I know. I've been hearing that from a lot of people about 2025. In a lot of ways, 2025 was kind of a blur.
It was just like a blur. Yeah.
We started off with so many retrogrades anyways, and then the energy didn't really get moving, and then we had more retrogrades. So yeah, that's okay if you don't remember, but it's kind of one of those things where if something does shift or change dramatically, you might realize, oh, wow, this is something that's been going on since that time period. We do have a Mercury cazimi happening after that March 3rd eclipse on the 7th. This is when the sun and Mercury are at the exact same degree. So that can be an opportunity for some good downloads, for some new ideas. You're like, I want to change my work schedule, but I don't know how. Maybe on March 7th, you get that idea of here's how I can do it differently. I've heard a lot of astrologers say go outside if you can and just really be in nature for that download. So maybe mark your calendars for March 7th for getting outside. March 9th, we have a Mercury trine Jupiter. Like I said, that's a positive energy. So again, you might be getting ideas on March 7th, and then March 9th, you're like, all right, now I can really go big with this idea. Again, with Mercury retrograde, we're usually not launching things. We're relaunching things. We're reorganizing things. March 17th, we have Mercury conjunct the North Node. This is really positive too. It's going to be about your purpose, and maybe you're communicating your purpose differently. And then we do have that happen again on March 23rd once it's direct, but lots of different aspects. And a big thing to keep in mind too is Jupiter goes direct on March 10th. And so we'll be having those positive trines with Mercury there. And then, I did want to give one little heads up is while we have this Mercury retrograde, on March 2nd, Mars moves into Pisces. Mars doesn't really like being in Pisces. It's what they call in its fall or in detriment. And it's because Mars likes to charge ahead. And when you're in watery energy, have you ever tried to walk in water? It's not, it's hard to go as quickly as you want to. You don't really have as much movement. Also, it's that Pisces energy of boundless. So I've heard a lot of astrologers say watch out for don't accidentally speed because you're not paying attention. Like you're trying to get somewhere and you're not paying attention. So just think about that kind of thing. And people can get really moody with this energy. That's why I really recommend communicating differently. Because again, if you know you're going to say something to somebody, maybe it is better to put it in writing or a voice memo where they can kind of save face and process it and then get back to you when it's not so touchy. You're a Pisces. Happy birthday, by the way. You had
thank you.
A birthday yesterday. Hope you're celebrating all season. What do you feel about this Mercury and Pisces retrograde?
Yeah, I think I literally the last reading I did today, I had this card here, this blessed card, but it's card number 22. You said 22, and I was like, oh, that makes total sense. But this was for Libra, and I was saying that, what I was getting for Libra is it was like the two fish, and I was like, they could be revisiting a dream and, but working on it here in the 3D. But 22 is working on something again. I always tell a story. I moved here from house number 22, and it was I've been working on the same project since I moved in there. And when I was living there, it's I had to go over and over and over and over again, every working on. And so, it's I didn't know that this was retrograding at 22 degrees. So again, I think that fits in really, really well.
Yeah, it does fit in really well. And so be okay with almost having to rework things. And it's probably it's with the eclipse energy there too. It's just it's going to happen anyways. You're going to have to reschedule, reorganize, revisit. If you do have travel plans over the next couple of weeks, I know my family and I do, several people traveling, just bring backup things to do. Bring a backup battery pack so if anything gets delayed, you can entertain yourself. Bring some coloring books in case there's any kind of issues. Like do something that not necessarily is relying on technology, because Mercury can often affect technology. Chris, do you notice a difference on the days it stations retrograde or direct?
Like sometimes I feel like I have in the past. I'll pay attention this year and I'll see. But yeah, I'm not sure. This one, it's like I feel like I'm feeling this one now, but also not. Like it. So yeah.
I felt some slowdowns with it. I feel like starting this week, I started having like computers were going slower, things were taking longer to upload and download, things like that. So it's like we're moving. This energy isn't that fast, but it's also not an energy to be feared. It's an energy to take advantage of things going slower. Also, being approaching spring here or fall, if we have a lot of people in the southern hemisphere, do some cleaning, because you will find things you forgot you had. You will release energies you didn't know were in the way. And it gives you a chance to reset. So we're always looking for things with an RE. But I have noticed that it's not necessarily personally, but I have noticed the headlines. It feels like the news headlines, I will see something on the day of a stationing retrograde or stationing direct. So pay attention to that as well. And then you and I have been talking about this for a long time, things being revealed with Mercury retrograde. So what do you think about that? You think we're going to see some big things revealed?
Yeah, of course. And, I think that, we already have, right? But we're just going to see more. Plus it's called, Pisces. So I think Neptune in Pisces is a big reveal in the first place when it leaves. So now that it's out, we're having this retrograde. It's like all that stuff, all sorts of stuff probably being revealed.
Yes. Yeah. And I keep seeing all these memes all over social media joking about how my friends and I are all out of conspiracy theories because they turned out to be true. It's like now we don't have anything to talk about. But the one thing to keep in mind too with this energy is that there may be things that are, quote, revealed that are also just a distraction. Or a decoy is what I feel like we've seen a lot of decoys that people aren't acknowledging. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I think pretty much it's like I said to someone the other day, it's like they're creating Netflix in real life. It's is kind of like how I see it. It's like, we have crime mysteries, we have, war movies, we have all these different things that are basically Netflix. I'm not saying they're not real. Right. I just think that they're really good at taking advantage of it,
Yeah, definitely. So keep an eye on that. With it being Pisces energy too, there can be, distractions, illusions, but also it's an opportunity to use that intuition. So a lot of times we may have to communicate more with our intuition, with our spiritual team than with what we're seeing on the screen or what our mind is trying to tell us. It's more of an intuitive process than a thinking process with this retrograde in Pisces. So, I think those are kind of the big topics. Again, just keep in mind that you can use this energy to get organized so that when the sun moves into Aries and when things start moving forward and Jupiter's direct and everything begins building, you're like, oh, good. I'm so glad I cleaned out the garage because now I have a new car or a new roommate who needs a space for the, to put their car or whatever it is for you. And I like to use it for reorganizing. And then I like to use a lot of affirmations like I am in divine flow. Everything always works out for me. Like just really getting into a place, especially with the fluidity of Pisces of like, we're just going to allow it. If I get caught by 3 trains on the way to that appointment, then it's saving me from something that was not going to be good. Right. I'm just going to trust the process. Right.
Yep.
So, all right, good. Well, Chris, I guess let's jump into these all signs readings here.
Let's do it.
We'll do a bonus message at the end to provide clarity for everybody. Definitely, if you haven't already, hit subscribe for Menopon Tarot. Go follow Chris Reck on his channel as well, chrisreck.com, Menopon Tarot, and give us that like and share. And I think let's get started here with these all signs. Let's get started with Aries. I'll grab my my little icon before we start. We're going live today, so we're doing this a little differently than normal. But here we go. We've got Aries up here. What do you get for Aries for Mercury retrograde?
Aries, a lot of fire energy. You have the Temperance card, which is Sag, Emperor, which is you, and Queen of Wands, which is fire. So, Temperance is definitely patience. Definitely, I think this retrograde good for focusing on like one thing, which came up a lot in my reading so far for March for the most part. And so, the Temperance card, I think we have to work towards that crown that's growing, glowing in the background there, and we have to, just stay focused on one. Like one process or one project that we're working towards. And the other thing is, Devin just said it too. You said something. You were talking about like having a plan. I got that a lot today, weirdly enough, in my readings. That like everything was talking about. Just like really focusing on the plan that you're going to follow. And so I think that would be good for you, Aries. But showing up as yourself is pretty good. You're probably feeling fine. And Queen of Wands. I don't know. I feel like Queen of Wands is kind of like a common card nowadays. And, because we're kind of like in a time where we have to learn as we go. And, she is my card of learning as you go. And she doesn't know what her journey is going to bring her, but she has to be bold, assertive, confident enough to go on the journey anyway. So, I feel like that's you now here, Aries.
Yeah, that really resonates with me about following the plan. It's like,
Yeah.
it's almost like I think we got this message with the eclipse for Aries, but like, be careful not to just throw out all your plans because you're frustrated that it's not working. It's like, just go back to the basics, stick to the plan. It may take a little longer. It may take a little, redirection, but remember the plan. That's an RE word too. Remember. So don't just say, oh, none of it's working because of Mercury retrograde or because these things people aren't getting back to me or whatever. Just stick to the plan. I really like that. I've got the 7 of Earth, which I think supports that as well. Seeds well planted, taking time for things to grow. I do think that it says a temporary pause in action and unnecessary worry. So I think, things may have been moving and then it might seem like, wait, they're slowing down. What's happening? These people were getting back to me and now I'm not hearing anything, or, I'm not seeing the response to the things I'm doing. Just stick to the plan. You put a lot of effort into that plan. And a lot of Aries have really been working on accumulating their team. And we talk a lot about making sure you don't leave your team behind or that you remember to communicate your mission. You did communicate your mission to your team. So again, sticking to the plan will be important because it could get confusing if you're not sticking to the plan. We have the 4 of Air, meditation, recuperation, and contemplation. I really feel like this is just, hey, Aries, maybe it's a good time to go on a little break. Take a spring break or a fall break, wherever you are in the world. If things are not really moving, that's your sign to, hey, you get a chance to go rest. Like, just take a break, get out in nature, go do something that feels good. And then you have this recognition card here. And it is just reminding you that you are going to get recognized for all the work you've been putting into things, especially now that we have Saturn and Neptune in your sign. We just had that huge conjunction on February 20th. I do not think we've seen everything out of that conjunction by any means yet. So we'll be checking on that with you guys later. But just give yourself credit for the work you've done. I feel like this recognition card is talking more about recognizing how much you put into the plan and how far you've come. And so if things start to feel like they're not working, this is a good time for hindsight. Just say, look at how far you've come and where were you 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even a year ago, compared to where you are now. You put this plan into place for a reason. So don't give up on all the work you've put in, and maybe just go take a break and get that new perspective. Is anything else coming up for you with those cards, Chris?
Yeah. What did that first card say?
The 7 of Earth, about a temporary pause in action, unnecessary worry, seeds well planted.
Yeah. I think that's with the Queen of Wands as well, because I was literally thinking that with her. It's like about sticking to the plan, like we were saying. But it's like they say, like if you go to the gym, the days that really matter are when you don't want to go, but you go anyway. And so I think that's the energy for Aries is like, following that, sticking to a routine, even on those days where you don't want to do it.
Right.
And that's what I get with that Queen of Wands.
Yeah, and with Mars moving into Pisces, your ruling planet, Aries, Mars rules you guys.
Mhm.
things might feel frustrating, but that's what I agree with. It's like when I think of those gym days, it's like I'm never mad
Yeah.
at myself for going to the gym. I might get mad at
Mhm.
myself for skipping the gym. So
Skipping,
that's
yeah.
where, yeah, let's just focus on what are you going to feel better about at the end? Just stick to that plan. I love that for
Mhm.
Aries. Yeah. So keep us posted. What are your plans, Aries? We read every single one of your comments. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing. And thank you guys for everybody who's here in the chat saying hello. Great to see all you guys since we're doing this live today. And those watching the replay, we feel your energy too. We read all your comments. All right. What are you getting for Taurus for Mercury retrograde, Chris?
Taurus, yours looks really good. You have the Lovers, the Chariot,
Mm.
and the Knight of Swords. So could be a little bit of love there if you want love. I think with the Chariot, it's about picking the new path. I think on a very simple level, sometimes the Lovers is a choice. Traditionally, it was a card about making a choice. Traditionally in love, but I think now it doesn't have to be love. It could be any choice.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chariot always wants us to move like in the new direction. He's leaving behind familiarity. I've been saying for like, I don't know, 2 years now that I think Taurus is escaping the bullpen.
Mm.
Everybody says Taurus is like a bull in a china shop. And I always say, I'm like, well, not really. I think Taurus is like boxed in by their, how they were raised or like problems like that. And they have to,
Mm-hmm.
flip that bullpen over their back and get out into the field and enjoy their life basically. And so I feel like that's the choice that you're making here, Taurus. And with the Knight of Swords to me is like running backwards sometimes. It says like he runs up to a point and then he runs away from something. So it's like I think you've gotten close several times to setting yourself free, which again
Mm.
makes a lot of sense with Uranus and Taurus. I think, that whole needing to set themselves free type of energy. So it's almost like, I don't know that this is like facing fear. I think it's just pushing past where you would like stop your new journey or your new direction here, Taurus.
Yeah, I that resonates with me a lot. I have the Hermit card, the Two of Water, another card of love,
Mm,
partnership, energy, and then I have the Vision Board card. What's coming up for me first for the Tauruses for Mercury retrograde is this Hermit card is saying use this time to reflect on the things that
mm,
you want to take with you and the things that you don't. Because, like you said, Chris, I do think you're breaking free, Tauruses, from
mhm,
old energies and especially old mindsets with Mercury and
mhm,
Pisces. And so you are realizing, wow, I don't think like that anymore. I used to be in this lack mindset, a mindset of not
mhm,
having enough. I'm not going to do that anymore. So what are my tools, and how did I get to where I am now where I'm not feeling that way, and how can I continue with that? And so I feel like what you said about the Lovers card is the same for the Two of Water here. This is more about, your love for yourself and your dreams and your future and the way you communicate with yourself, that you're realizing that, you maybe in the past were getting in your own way, but now you know how to overcome it. And you're choosing that path of love. You're choosing the things that are very loving to yourself going forward. So with this vision board, I really think it's really just about
mm,
maybe bringing out those tools again. If you're not somebody who uses vision boards, or you used to use vision boards and you haven't in a while, review those, update them. Look, and I think this is interesting. I like to go back and look at really old vision boards and see
mm.
what did I used to think was really important and like how much those things don't matter now. Do you ever do that, Chris? Like just
Yeah, well,
changing what you want?
yeah, I mean, I've talked about this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That I think. Well, I also blame Neptune and Pisces for that because it
Mm-hmm.
dissolves the material. So, yeah, I mean, I've talked about it because I've gotten rid of like a bunch of things that I did feel like I manifested over the past couple of years
Mm-hmm.
that I thought were important that I didn't want. That
Yeah.
that I figured out I didn't want after, right?
Right, exactly. And so
Yeah,
I just think we're being asked to update our vision board. You don't have to do it literally, but just really getting clear on the
yeah,
things that used to be important to you that really aren't, and breaking free from that. I think the choice is the loving choice. Whatever is going to help you feel emotionally
hmm,
secure in your environment and the things you're going for. And watching that mindset of like, every time I finally something starts working in a relationship, something goes wrong. Or every time I finally feel happy in a home, something goes wrong. Watching that, like you used to do that. You used to talk to yourself like that. You're not doing that anymore.
hmm.
So did anything else come up for you with that Two of Water vision board and Hermit card for Taurus?
Yeah, I think I think you said it, that picking, it's basically like picking things that you love, Taurus. And yeah, instead of being like, I think it's like the Esther Hicks thing where
Mm.
if you get into a relationship and you're like asking for one and then you find out you don't want that relationship, instead of being like, oh, I don't want this relationship, you should just be like, I found something else to want, so you're looking at it from that perspective instead. And that's, what I would do there.
Yes, I love that. All right, Taurus. Let us know what are you putting on your vision board that you never thought you would, and what are you taking off your vision board? I'd love to hear that. We read all your comments. Thank you guys for liking, sharing, and subscribing. And let's move on to Geminis. This Mercury retrograde. Mercury rules, you guys. What are you getting for Mercury for their retrograde, Geminis?
Gemini, you have the Ace of Pentacles, the Seven of Wands, and the Ten of Wands. Yeah, I think I said to Gemini, I just did their March readings, over the weekend or whenever that was, and I was saying something about like don't create another job for yourself, or it might have been Capricorn that I said that to. I don't remember now. I said it to someone.
You have
and
said
I'm
that to
saying
Capricorn as a Capricorn.
I think it was Capricorn.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So, but I feel that for you, Gemini, where you have the Ace of Pentacles with the Seven of Wands, which would be like committing to an idea. Seven of Wands is one of my. I like the Seven of Wands. It's a card of conviction. I wouldn't say it's my favorite card, but it's it's up there. And because he really, really would believe that he can accomplish this, but then this comes in, which is like creating more work for yourself. And so that's what I feel for Gemini. I think that it's like you hold on to the opportunity or whatever you're thinking about here, nurture it, but don't like turn it into like some sort of job. That's really all I'm getting for you, Gemini.
I also have the 10 of Fire card here, which is 10 of
Yeah.
Wands. So we're validating that. I have the 6 of Water. And then I have the have confidence in your creations, which I think is 100% what you were just saying. It's like, don't give up on what you've been doing. Don't miss out on these opportunities to keep going with it. If things start to feel like they're not going in the right path, just watch out for creating too much work for yourself. It's that whole idea of spinning your wheels or creating a task that you do over and over again that isn't really moving you forward, and asking yourself, like, where is this expectation coming from that I have to do that? Because the 6 of Water card is also a card of nostalgia, and I do think that maybe something from your past might be affecting you, where you're like, well, this is just how I was raised to do it, or so and so did it this way, so I have to do it that way if I want to be as successful, or what are people going to think of me if I do it the way I really want to do it? You're just like, sometimes it's like your thought process that's too burdening on you, right? Especially Gemini is like, you guys can see both sides of the coin. You can understand where people are coming from or different potential outcomes. So this have confidence in your creation card thing here, as I think is just reminding you that, you're going to probably see some things come up in the Mercury retrograde that are going to feel like a cog in the wheel, or feel like, oh, I don't want to have to deal with this. Is this a sign I'm in the wrong direction? And they're saying, no, have confidence in your creations. Don't look at every little bump in the road as a sign that you're on the wrong path. Look at it as an opportunity to make it smooth and make sure you avoid it in the future. And, are you, maybe if you do have to deal with something like that, maybe you're taking more tools with you when you move forward, so that it isn't such a big deal to have to stop and deal with something. So I think that a lot of the overworked energy I'm feeling for you guys is just realizing, just mentally overworked, like just overthinking things, overdoing things, over worrying about things. And maybe it's just not your thing to worry about. My dad has this saying about don't make other people's problems bigger than your own. And that's a tough one to think about when we want to be there for someone, or we want to show up in a big way, whatever. And the other person is just kind of like, and maybe did I butcher that saying? Maybe it's don't make it bigger for yourself than it is for them. But the idea is kind of like you're trying to help somebody with something and they're not even like doing anything about it. It's like, why are you making it your problem? I guess is where I'm going with that. So does anything resonate with you with the 6 of Water, the 10 of Fire, and that card?
Yeah, I think with the Ten of Wands, like, a lot of stuff that's come up this year is like what I've been asking people a lot, like, what if it could be easy? And, it's just like, it's funny, even on, I think about this on YouTube, how like lives are becoming more popular again, just like like raw, like this, not
Mm-hmm.
edited, no fancy effects or anything like that. And it's kind of like I see the energy in the world with that, because it's like I think that's where we're being pushed to. Like, instead of like overcomplicating things, making things more polished and everything, I think this is a year of authenticity. So it's like, simple is authentic. And yeah, that's what I think Gemini should do.
Yeah, I really like that. And I think the simplicity, Chris and I were joking behind stage about how, like, when we have little human mess ups, when I trip over my words, it just proves more that I'm not AI, right? So
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take the human mess ups so that people know, and I
Yep.
think, like, it's just a simple way of not scripting it, not overdoing it, not overthinking it.
Mhm.
And again, not making it like bigger of a burden to yourself than it is to anybody else. They may not even notice the things you're noticing. So I love that for Geminis. Let us know what burdens are you going to be setting down with this retrograde. We read all your comments, and thank you guys for liking and sharing. Let's move on to the Cancers. What are you getting for Cancers for Mercury retrograde? Uh-oh. Chris. We were just talking about this. Hang on. I can't hear you. What?
Can you hear me?
Okay, now I can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, it just randomly disconnected me.
It just
like,
dropped you. It was like, oh, we'll prove you're human.
Right, exactly.
All right. Well, welcome back. What are you getting for Cancers for Mercury retrograde?
Cancer, you have the Seven of Swords, the High Priestess. There's that Pisces energy for the retrograde and the Hermit. There's the Virgo energy for the eclipse. So, yeah, I think Seven of Swords is going to come up a lot for years because of Uranus and Gemini. I think, this card wants us to do things differently. I think for you, it's like taking something too seriously. I actually think Cancer is taking something specific too seriously with the Hermit. It's like he already has what he wants, right here. But he needs to like come down and explore its potentials, what the High Priestess is saying to me. It's a mystery with the High Priestess. We don't know what's going on behind her. And she needs to explore that mystery as well. So I think for Cancer, it's like you've already been through the hard part, like he has. He's already been through his dark night of the soul, and he's at the top of the mountain. But now he needs to come down from that mountain and shine his inner light out into the world. And for you, I think it's like exploring the potential of something and exploring like probably the light and the dark side as well. I think I've said this to Cancer as well. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if Cancer had something they wanted where it's like they see the good and they see the bad. It's like a relationship. I think that's the example I gave to Cancer recently, maybe, where I said, like, it's like, yeah, you want the relationship, but then you also have to deal with like a person, like entertaining a person or having them in your personal space. So it's like the light and the dark is what I'm getting here for Cancer.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think you're right. I think a lot of Cancers aren't acknowledging what they've been through, and that it can actually be easier. Because I'm getting the King of Air card here, which talks about brilliant, important, professional, diplomatic, speaking your mind, being confident about that. And maybe that's where the Mercury retrograde is coming in, is you're realizing, RE, hey, I do have the experience to be able to talk about this with confidence. I do have the knowledge, and I do have the drive to do it. Maybe you were kind of doubting whether it's something you could actually pull off. But I have the Wheel card here, and then I also have the Happy News card here. And I think that you're going to find out through this retrograde process, Cancers, that actually things are looking pretty good. Maybe you were over exaggerating something within a relationship. You were over exaggerating what kind of resources you were going to need to get going. Maybe you thought, oh, it's going to take a lot longer to get things moving, and you're seeing things are actually moving forward. So I actually feel some pretty positive energy for Cancers coming in. Of course, it makes sense with it being in Pisces, which trines your sign, another water sign, and you have Jupiter in your sign trining this retrograde. So I think, Cancers, as long as you keep your mindset on the positive and what you've brought with you and what you've learned, and that it doesn't have to be as hard as maybe you thought it was going to be, you're going to start to see things really move forward. And again, I think the key word, and sometimes I'll get a key word. I don't always get it, but I'm getting the word confidence for Cancers. Just really being confident in the fact that you are ready to communicate these things, whether it's to a partner, to a boss, to a community. And then when you actually take that action to do that, you're going to see things moving forward. You're going to receive reciprocity for that. There's another RE word too. I think a lot of Cancers feel like I do all these things, I say all these things, and I get nothing back. And now it's like, well, maybe you're doing it differently with this, like I think for all 12 signs, Mercury retrograde is about communicating in a different way than you normally do. And you might even say that normally you get messages through a feeling and now you're getting them through a knowing or through dreams. Well, then acknowledge that, because there's something more there for you and it's going to help you move forward. So anything else you're getting for the King of Air or the Wheel card or Happy News?
Yeah, I think also, with the Jupiter in their sign taking up more space in the world. I mean, when Jupiter retrogrades in Capricorn, it's like, or in Cancer, it's like it's in Capricorn. Capricorn, it's in its fall. Speaking of Mars being in Pisces, and so it's like I think that things have slowed down for water signs in general, but definitely Cancer with that Jupiter retrograde. And the Hermit again, he has to have the confidence to shine his inner light in the world. So and he has to take up more space in the world. That's
that confidence card too. And I always think about your point with the Hermit card about how you have to like come down off the mountain too. That takes confidence to come down and see the world again in a different way.
I think it's too tempting right now to stay on top of the mountain because of the nodes. Like, to me, the Hermit is the North Node in Pisces, South Node Virgo. I mean, that is the Hermit. And so I think it's too tempting to stay in isolation with the Hermit.
That makes sense. So yeah, we're going to be reviewing those temptations to stay hidden, Cancer. Come out of that shell.
Yep.
All right. I love it. Moving on to the lovely Leos. What are you getting for Leos for Mercury retrograde?
Leo, you have the Page of Cups, the Two of Swords, and the Empress. Someone finds you attractive, Leo. I don't know if they're holding back or you're holding back. You've been getting this for like a couple weeks, Leo. So I know. I think sometimes Leos end up with like a lot of little followers, types like this. And so you could have like a new groupie here, Leo, in your life. I feel that. Also, just like Cancer, I mean, Two of Swords, she is thinking this or that and trying to protect her heart. But, kind of like the Hermit, it's like, are you trying to protect your Empress energy? Doesn't matter what gender you are either. Are you trying to, hide something, or do you need to focus more on something? I'm also getting distractions here as well. She has this waterfall behind her, which she sometimes it can be a distraction. The bottom of the waterfall is chaos. This is water that flows from the Emperor, so it's not like bad. But she is more focused on like what's right in front of her. She's not focused on other things that are going on in her life. Like I do think it is, I have said this a lot to Leo, that I do think this year, next year even, is like it would be better for Leo to focus on their abundance and nurturing things that already are abundant. I think would be a good thing for Leo to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've got the Four of Air card here, the Transformation card, which is also the Tower card in Tarot, and then Speeches and Speaking. And one of the big messages I was getting coming through, like you said, focusing on abundance, was also the way you speak to yourself, Leos. I agree. I think that you have a lot of followers. Maybe they are not really totally making themselves known to you. And maybe you're feeling them watching you. Like we can all feel when somebody's staring at us from behind. You're feeling that. And then maybe you're taking it as like something's wrong with you, when really it's they are admiring you, or they like you, and they just haven't had the confidence to come speak to you about it. So if you're catching yourself worrying about things a lot, I think that maybe it's time to transform how you're talking to yourself first, so that you can listen to the compliments that you're actually getting, and maybe not just making assumptions that the people who you kind of feel lurking around watching you or wanting your attention are being critical. Maybe they're just watching you and saying, I kind of wish I could do it the way Leo does it. Or when Leo says these things, it sticks with me. And I know a lot of Leos like that. They can just say something just out of nowhere and people will bring it up for days. They'll say, I keep thinking about what you said, and you're not giving yourself credit for the transformation that you're bringing for those people, and maybe just using it on yourself to transform how you view yourself and the things you're doing. But yeah, keep an eye out, because I think that you're going to have some people coming back from the past. It may literally be like exes and things like that with this Mercury retrograde, because that happens
Mhm.
for all signs a lot of times, where you're just thinking about them. But it could literally be somebody coming to you and be like, you really changed things for me when you made that comment a couple years ago, and it really helped me turn things around. And then giving yourself credit for that, because are you giving yourself credit for the way that you motivate others and you share your love? So is anything else coming up for you for the Four of Air, the Tower card, and speeches and speaking?
The words, I say that like that's been coming up for Leo forever to like watch their words. I mean, the nurture, she really, really cares for herself. I mean, to a very deep level. So she would never say anything negative about herself. No, like self-deprecation or anything like that. So I would definitely watch your words, Leo.
Yeah, I love that. Being just really acknowledging
Yeah.
how deserving you are.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right, I love that. Thank you for liking and sharing. We read all your comments, Leos. Let's move on to Virgos. What are you getting for Virgos for Mercury retrograde?
Virgo, you have the Death card, the Devil, and the King of Cups. Really not surprised to see the King of Cups, because I do think it could be like emotional week. This week, coming week, the second. I think this is the second, right? Coming up, and the week of the
third?
eclipse.
Oh, the
Yeah, the
March
third.
3rd
Yeah,
eclipse.
yeah, which is Tuesday or whatever. But
Yeah, Tuesday.
it wouldn't surprise me if it was an emotional time for you here, Virgo, with that energy. I always say King of Cups isn't bad, though. He just makes sure that he doesn't drown in his emotions. I think the better thing to do with him is to use the emotion for something, like feel it, go through it, scream into a pillow, as I say, or whatever, and then but use that emotion for something. And but this actually I don't feel bad about either. This could just be you ending some sort of something that's been toxic in your life, or also admitting the truth, which I think could come up for you as well. It's kind of funny because I think that this week coming, the week of the second, is like a truth week for Libra, but I also feel that for you, Virgo, this guy here is like a belief system that you're holding on to, and so you could be kind of like changing some sort of belief system with that card.
Yeah, so stay tuned for the Libra Virgos, because I'm getting that too. I've got the Page of Air card. You said being truthful with yourself. That was definitely what was coming through for me. I have the renewal card here, talking about reviewing and evaluating things, maybe a favorable assessment of things, and time to move in a new direction. And then I have motivation. I'm hearing that phrase, "What's your why?" For Virgos. And I think that that's what you're reviewing, is what is your why for doing things. And another thing that I've been getting for Virgos lately, and I'm feeling it for the retrograde too, is that concept of, have you heard of the concept secondary gains in like emotional work and like tapping, where we don't even realize, like maybe you twist your ankle and you're like, oh man, that sucks. It hurts. But now I don't have to do that marathon I didn't really want to do this weekend with my buddies. You know what I mean? Like there's a gain to it. It's like, now I get out of that marathon I did, or whatever. And I think for all 12 signs, I'm not picking on Virgos here. Anytime we have a retrograde, we do want to ask ourselves, what's our why? Like what it really is our motivation for things that we're doing. And sometimes we don't realize we're doing it to prove ourselves to somebody that doesn't even know, that doesn't even care. I know you and I have talked about this before, Chris, that like I don't just announce the first time I meet somebody that I have a YouTube channel where I do, card readings and stuff. If it comes up, it comes up, but I don't normally just announce it right away. And it's like, sometimes you have to think to yourself, like, why would that person even care? Like they probably wouldn't even care at all. They've got too many things they've got going on. And so a lot of times we make things a bigger deal because we're like trying to prove something to somebody and they don't even notice, or they wouldn't even care. So getting clear on what your why, I feel like, is what I'm seeing for this, and being really honest on why you're doing something. Maybe you're doing it for a reason that it's old, it's outdated. And I think that that's going for all of us. It's like, well, this is just what you should do. And it's like, well, really, should you? I mean, maybe it's such a struggle for you because you're not really that motivated to do it. And this time to move in a new direction, I think that's really big too. I mean, you guys got hit hard with these eclipses. This is another one in your sign. So thinking back to last March, thinking back to last September, what are the things that kind of happened that were out of your control, and what are you still hanging on from that, where maybe it's time to just kind of let that go and move in a new direction? So what else comes up for you with that Page of Air, that renewal, and that motivation card?
Yeah, the page air is like my child card, and we have a child right here, and so the
Mm-hmm.
child on the death card is the only person that's excited for the change. I've been
Mm-hmm.
saying this to Virgo for a really long time that I think they are like using a skill that they've had for a long time, but they're kind of like reinventing it.
Mm.
Um, but those skills, it's like sometimes the skills that we develop, come through like pain or come through some sort of difficulty. It's like funny people. It's like if you look at people who are
Yeah.
funny, like a lot of them have
Mm-hmm.
very painful, experiences
Mm-hmm.
because that's what they learned to like use, right? But it's
Yeah.
like how can you use those skills in a different way, like in a better way, not from that place. And
Right.
I think that's what the death card is saying.
Yes, definitely. And go check out the readings we did for the eclipses for you guys
Hmm.
and the 2026 readings, because I know you've talked about a lot of Virgos becoming famous this year or finally being
Yeah.
seen for their talents in a unique
Mhm.
way. So you might have to still clear out some of these old beliefs and these old reasons for doing things. Like, you think you're doing it because of one reason, maybe you're doing it for another. And once you realize that, you're like, I don't even want to do that anymore. I'm not
Mhm.
even motivated. So let us know what you're doing, Virgos. We read every single one of your comments. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. And let's move on to Libras. What are we getting for Libras for Mercury retrograde?
Libra, you have the Page of Pentacles, Wheel of Fortune, and Six of Pentacles, so pretty good. Again, I did your reading for next week this morning, and it was pretty good. So I think that you could be making like kind of like looking at your investments.
Mm-hmm.
Six of Pentacles, and normally I look at Seven Pentacles as investments, but Six of Pentacles, he is like investing in this person, not this person. And Wheel of Fortune would be the return on your investment. So I feel that for Libra, it would be a good time to, maybe that's what you're revisiting during the eclipse. Like, okay, I've given a bunch of energy out. What am I getting back from the things that I invest in general? Page of Pentacles, great time for learning. I think anything mental for years to come, Libra, is going to be good for you. So, like self education, studiousness, learning with the Page of Pentacles is what I would be doing.
Hmm. That's interesting because I have the Ace of Earth, so a Pentacles card
Hmm.
there too. Definitely starting investing in something. I think you're right. Maybe investing in your knowledge and your skill level
Hmm.
to going to a new thing. I have Ace of Air too, so a second Ace card saying inspiration, communication, adjustments. Obviously, you are an air sign, Libras. I do feel like this is a really positive energy. Again, kind of, I'm getting the same vibe I was getting for the Cancers around acknowledging that you've been through a lot and now it's time to really
Hmm.
have confidence in communicating about that. I have the birth card as well, so definitely starting something new. You don't typically get that with a retrograde energy. It tends to be where you're rebirthing something, and so that might be something you're thinking about as you're going back to an old hobby, an old thing that you used to do. Like maybe you used to spend a lot of time writing and you haven't done that in a long time, so you're going back to that and rereading old things you wrote and refurbishing them and finally putting them out there. Maybe you're also learning how to communicate in a different way. Like maybe you are learning new technologies. You're learning how to start a podcast, start a YouTube channel. So I do feel like there is something you're giving birth to, but it's something because of your past that you're realizing, I want to communicate about this. I want to share these things. And so, yeah, lots of new energy coming in for you. And I feel like with Saturn and Neptune now in your opposite sign, there's going to be a lot of yin and yang energy for you. And you're just going to need to be really clear on what are the things that you really want to invest your time and energy into. And anything that is going to improve your knowledge or skills, that excites you, that gets you out of bed, like you're excited to go take that online class or go to that down the road and drive to that class. I think it's something that you're being asked to really focus on with this Mercury retrograde. Anything else you're getting for Ace of Air, Earth, and Birth?
Yeah, I think, and we were talking about the truth with Libra. So,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of you could be admitting truths to yourself with the Wheel of
Yes.
Fortune as well, because, the wheel comes back around. So it's like, you finish some cycles. Now you're like admitting the truth on those
Mm-hmm.
cycles with that card.
Yeah, definitely. So that's why we review. That's why we use the gift of hindsight
Hmm.
when there's a retrograde too, because it makes it a little easier to accept the truth. And then, of course, finding the humor in it is always a good way to approach it too. Like you were talking about
Hmm.
funny people going through things, finding the humor in the pain. But we can look back on it. We're not in the pain anymore, so let's use it to move forward. So I love that for the Libras. Let us know how you guys are doing. We read all your comments, and thank you guys so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. All right, we are now moving on to the Scorpios. Let me pop up your, oh, that was Sag. Scorpios, what are you getting for Scorpios for Mercury retrograde?
Scorpio, you have the Hierophant, the Three of Wands, and the Knight of Cups. So a little bit outside the box thinking here with the Hierophant and the Three of Wands. Three of Wands, he has to change because he's just standing where he has always been, and so he has to like go have new experiences, broaden his horizons, and all that other stuff. I would also say, like, sure, Knight of Cups could be love, but we are. I think we're in a time of resourcefulness, and we have to like find. We have to find a resource that we need because we probably don't have it. And he's like in the desert, and nothing grows in the desert, but he has water like flowing in front of him, so he has found the resource necessary to get something to grow. So I feel for you, it's like getting, like where you are is maybe, I don't know that it's stuck, but maybe it's just a box that you're in here in your life, Scorpio. And clearly it wants you to get out of the box with the Three of Wands and to expand and get things to grow in your life.
Interesting. And I was hearing when you were talking, we'll see how this applies with the cards. I was hearing like maybe you've tried to find a way out of the box in the past and it didn't work, and it's like, well, go try it again. You just missed one thing. Like there is a way out. I have the Page of Earth card here, so I feel like too it's like getting organized and being patient with this process of moving out of this box, but learning something about it. Maybe it's just you didn't have the right tool. Maybe you didn't have the right knowledge. Maybe you didn't have the right connections, and learning about ways to get out of the box, so to speak. I've got the Five of Earth card too, lack, worry, and assistance. So again, another card of fear around resources, fear of being stuck. But going higher, we're in this intuitive energy. You're highly intuitive, Scorpios. As a water sign, you've got Jupiter trining you. This retrograde is trining you with Mercury. And then listen only to love, right? Listening only to love and making sure we're not getting too caught up in our convictions over things. That might be what's keeping you stuck. I feel like maybe is that you're really holding on tightly to a person, a place, a thing, an idea, and you're not letting it flow, and I have to do that myself. So I'm not just calling out your Scorpios where I'm just like, I want things to happen a certain way. And then you realize there's no option. Like the easiest example I can give is I just booked a flight for my daughter, and I wanted her to connect through a certain city. And the only times that the flights went through that city were like these horrible times. The price was really expensive. And I was asking myself, like, why am I so stuck on her going through this particular thing? And I had to rethink it. And it's like, I was, that was a hill I thought I was going to die on to be able to let her go. You know what I mean? And I think that's what I feel like for now. She's going through a different place. But I feel like with the Scorpios, that's kind of the thing is like, you guys are willing to like die on a hill for something you love and care about. And you're like, this is how it should be. And I think that might be what's keeping you stuck in that box. And instead, if you're just following that like gentle love process, the listen only to love, go higher, let your spiritual team, guide you out with signs and symbols and nudges of love, then you're going to really feel like, okay, now I can really go to this new place and really advance my skills and knowledge and feel like I'm breaking free. So what else came up for you with that Five of Earth, Page of Earth, and listen only to love?
Yeah, the Hierophant is like traditional belief. So it is hard to let go of the Hierophant because it's like it's what we have always believed. And, that's probably what Scorpio is challenging here, or being asked to challenge.
Yeah. Reviewing why, almost like, was it who was the Virgos that we had, the what's your why? It's kind of like, why are you holding on to that so tightly? Love it. All right, Scorpios, let us know what's going on for you. We read all your comments, and thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. What are you getting for Sagittarius for Mercury retrograde, Chris?
Sag, you have the King of Swords, the Two of Pentacles, and the Star. So you probably already know that you're doing too much with that Two of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords there. The, Two of Pentacles, like work hard, play hard. But again, like, why can't it be easy is going to be my favorite question right now. So that's what I would say. It's like, same thing with the Star. These are the 7 stars of the Pleiades around the main star in the middle. But it's like, like why can't she just like work straight towards this thing? This is something I don't know. I didn't realize until like the past like 2 years where I see people, especially working with people on YouTube, where I'll ask them like why they do something, and they'll be like, oh, because I had to go to do this thing, and I had to follow this step because this is what someone else did, and I'm like, why? It's like you could just go straight for the star. It's like you don't have to add these steps in front of the thing that you're trying to accomplish here, Sag. That's really what I feel for Sag. It's almost like you could like, you see someone run up a flight of stairs and they skip like 2 steps at a time. It's like you could probably be doing that, but you're like, no, I have to make sure each step that I put my foot down, but you probably don't with that card.
Yeah, I love that. I have the 4 of Fire card here. It says contentment, peace, and abundance, a happy home life, successful completion of a project. Yeah, I think that what I feel like is this is something that you're reviewing, that you're saying like, do I want to get out of a comfort zone with this? Do I want to possibly disrupt my happy home life, disrupt my project, disrupt the way things are going? And I think yes, because that's what you're saying. You're like, be a disruptor. Don't do it the way everybody else did it. I have the 7 of Air card too. So that I know you often talk about that being a card of tactics, which I really like too. It's like, yeah, they did it that way and it took them X amount of time. How could you do it differently? And like you said, skip the line, go straight for the star. And then we have the helping children card too. And I feel like what's coming up with this card is like maybe your kids or maybe kids around you can show you where it could be done an easier way. And I don't mean like necessarily literally, but if a kid has never done something before, they're going to do it the way that is probably the easiest for them, right? They're going to take the shortcut to the front line, because why should they wait in line? They've never done it before. And it's kind of like you're asking yourself, like, what would a kid do to approach this without all these like, this is how you do it, or this is what you're supposed to do. Yeah, I'm hearing the word supposed to do a lot for Sagittarius, and maybe you need to ask yourself that too. Why do you think you have to do it that way? I really, really feel that for you guys. So with this retrograde energy, that would be a good time to review your tactics. Maybe your old tactics are out to date. Maybe even the technology or the way you're doing it there's a better way that's faster and simpler. So anything else coming up for you for Sagittarius with 4 of Fire and 7 of Air?
Yeah, I think Sagittarius is going to get the 7 of Swords like every single reading for the next 7 years. So, I think that's like you're going to be your best friend, you and Gemini, because of Uranus and Gemini. I mean, I look at the 7 of Swords basically as Uranus and Gemini, finding like better solutions, better ways of doing things, other ways, other perspectives, all that stuff. I think with the with the star too, it's like good to zoom out. It is a big picture card. It's like sometimes when we like look down at something from above and we see the whole map that's laid out, we can find a better, better route to follow. And, I kind of feel that with the star as well.
Yeah, I love that for Sagittarius. All right, let us know what you're working on, Sagittarius. We read all your comments, and thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. What are you getting for Capricorns for Mercury retrograde, Chris?
Capricorn, it's all about you. You have the devil, you have the Queen of Pentacles, and you have the Ace of Pentacles. So I think that, the devil could just be you. Even though technically it's Saturn in Capricorn, I still think it's probably your energy. I do like this. Queen of Pentacles, speaking of resources, she is very resourceful. And she also focuses on multiplication, which is my favorite word for Capricorn, is like focusing on things that multiply instead of just like doing whatever. For work. That's what I would focus on with those two. Ace of Pentacles could be like working on a really solid opportunity. I feel like if you've like, I think that Capricorn should think back to August. September's popping into my head. And, it's like, did you start something that you never finished during that time? That could be like the opportunity or, the business idea or the job or whatever it is that you could be really kind of nurturing into existence. It's funny because I'm very focused on those mountains that are right under that archway. And, that's what you're good at, Capricorn, is climbing those mountains. Although I also think, she has mountains behind her too. And it's like, do I really want to climb another mountain or, do I really want to start this again? That's like kind of the feeling I get here for Cap.
I love that. And I love that we were talking about like your favorite saying about what's the easy way to do it.
Yeah.
I think that that's definitely something that Capricorns in the past would have seen as a shortcut, and they would have maybe seen it as a negative to do it the easy
Hmm.
way. But I completely agree with you. I think that's what we're reviewing. It's like, why does it have to be the hard way? I've got the Two of Water card here. It says a
Hmm.
relationship that continues to grow closer, the positive resolution of a conflict. I have King of Air, knowledgeable, objective, and respected. I really like that. I feel like that's also acknowledging Capricorns there. And then divine guidance. The ideas that you're getting are divinely guided and they're answers to your prayers. So I think for Capricorns, I'm hearing for you guys, definitely be paying attention for downloads. I think you're going to be getting downloads in a new way with this Mercury retrograde. That Mercury Cazimi I mentioned on March 7th. If you can get outside and do some, if you can't get outside, that's fine. Just take some quiet time though. Do some automatic writing, do some journaling, reviewing things that you, like you said, maybe you did start or not complete in August, September. Maybe you had a goal to finish something and you didn't get it finished, or maybe you just put it on the back burner because you felt like other things had a bigger priority. But this Two of Water card, a relationship that grows closer or a positive resolution of a conflict, I do think this is like between you and something that you're wanting to do. And again, that positive resolution of a conflict, it feels like you're trying to do it, you're trying to make it harder than it needs to be. And you're, maybe that's what slowed you down. Maybe that's why you didn't finish it. And it's like, again, I'm hearing that word confidence. It's time to just really follow the divine guidance you're getting, really just allow it to unfold in an easier way and trust that you'll get the information you need. I really see something working out for you guys differently than where, as you go into this retrograde, you're like, I don't know how this is going to go. I think coming out of it, you're going to be like, that's better than I thought. And this is way easier. And so be open to just reworking things and maybe even being open to a higher, better outcome than you even can predict or project. So what are you getting for that, for the Two of Air and King of Air?
I think I say it to Cancer and Capricorn all the time that it's like they are like, I feel like both, maybe it is Jupiter retrograde that is like making them make something harder than it needs to be, or harder than it is. But I like the funny thing I feel for Capricorn too is that like I do feel like there are things in front of Capricorn. It's there is like obstacles, but I don't want it to sound bad. I just think there's like there is work to be done to get the opportunity for Capricorn. So that's kind of what I feel for them.
Yeah, but you're not afraid of work, Capricorn. So
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
it's just finding a way to get it done and differently so that you can also, enjoy life a little more, go into a little bit more of a flow. I love it. Yeah. And Jupiter's going direct during this. So hopefully that'll ease up for you guys too. All right, Capricorns, let us know what you're working on. And thank you guys so much for liking and sharing. We read all your comments. And here we are with the Aquas. What are you getting for Aquarius for Mercury retrograde?
Aquarius, you have the Six of Swords, the Judgment card, and the Knight of Pentacles. For some of you, I feel this is like kind of random, like a random opportunity that pops up with the Judgment card that moves you in like a new direction in life that kind of comes out of nowhere. Or it's like, I don't even know what to call that, like serendipity or something. It's like, it's like, I think Aquarius has maybe been between two worlds for a while, where it's like you're like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, kind of like the Star card. She's kind of like dipping her toes in the water, and maybe you've been having a hard time making a decision. So this could be like an obvious decision, which would be nice. Like if you've been having a hard time, maybe there's like some other option that pops up and you're like, oh, obviously, I need to move towards this different job or whatever it is. And that's kind of like how I feel about these cards. I do think you are very focused on improvements. I think Aquarius is like going to be very focused on taking the lead in like stepping into leadership roles, or just, having more control over their life in general. And, I think a lot of this here in the Knight of Pentacles is like progress and slowly making progress, but maybe you are dipping your toes in the water, because Knight of Pentacles can be slow. It's like you could like try something, try to take the lead on something, see how it goes. But it's like, I think there are still some of those like moments where you pull back, like children on a playground. If you've ever watched, like, don't watch children. That'll get you in trouble. But, if you've ever watched children on a playground, they'll like they'll run out, they'll go play, right? Then they'll like run back to their mother. And it's like, I don't know why that's popping into my head for Aquarius, but it's like, I feel like you're like running out, doing things, and like coming back to mom, whatever the hell that means.
Well, yeah, returning home. That would be a very retrograde thing to do. Let's see. We've got the Ace of Water here, falling in love, new relationships, that spiritual growth. We have the Hermit card that seems to be popping up a lot with this retrograde energy. And then we have open your heart to love. So maybe some of you are going home and visiting mom for this retrograde, which would be totally worth doing. I feel like with the Ace of Water card here, we're really seeing just a new level of creativity coming in for you. And I think Aquarius is a lot of the aquas that I've talked to lately talk about wanting to go in a different direction with their creativity, feeling pulled in a different direction, but also not quite sure how to approach that. And so with this Hermit card, I think what you're going to spend a lot of this retrograde energy doing is spending quiet time alone, looking at how can I go in this new direction with this project, with this relationship, with this thing I want to bring into my life. And I think also it's about opening your heart to love and trusting that you are lovable. You're very lovable, Aquas, and people will love what you're bringing to the table, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in a creative project. And I think that you might have to go within during the retrograde to build up that confidence, to build up that organization and get really clear on the action you want to take once it goes direct. I do see Aquas moving in a totally different direction with a lot of things. For some of you, it really is about career, but if you're retired, it's just your legacy or it's how you're spending your time. And maybe you haven't been making enough time for your loved ones because you've been so focused on something else, some kind of other project or goal. And so this open to your heart love card is, maybe going home and visiting some loved ones or spending a little bit more time at home with your loved ones while you're reviewing things, while you're going through this process of figuring out what new direction you want to head into. So what are you getting for this Ace of Water and Hermit card for the Aquas, Chris?
Yeah, the thing with the Ace of Cups as well, with like the Knight of Pentacles, is like, what do you want to grow? He has a blanket that's behind him. He can, if he wants more that provides him with more flow, love, anything Ace of Cups related, then he would just go plant it. So I think that's what Aquarius needs to do.
Yeah, let us know. What are you planting? What are you spending time thinking about during the retrograde, Aquas? We read all of your comments, and thank you guys for liking and sharing. We're going to do bonus messages after we get to the Pisces here. Never, always last, not least. We love you, Pisces. So what are you getting for the Mercury retrograde, Pisces, Chris?
You have the Ace of Cups, the Magician, and of course the Nine of Swords. So needing to get out of your head, Pisces, with the Nine of Swords. Too much worry. I think it's always worry for Pisces. So needing to not stop worrying about the future. Like, this is good. This basically says you're going to attract whatever you want into your life here, and you can get into the flow and things don't have to be stuck or, kind of repeat a cycle. But I also feel like it is time for Pisces to change a cycle. It's like the universe, maybe you felt like you've been on a break for a few years, doing the same thing over and over and over again. A little bit of, sometimes I get like a little bit of spin in your tires energy with the Nine of Swords, like staying in place. I think it was like necessary the past couple of years, but now it's like the universe is saying like, okay, now it's time to like, put some chains on your tires so you can pull out of the mud here with the Nine of Swords, and, focus on doing something that you're actually going to love. I think this is about work, like the Ace of Cups for Pisces, like, again, working on something that causes them to overflow, working on something that they actually do, love to do.
Yeah, I really love that for the Pisces, especially with this Mercury, going through your sign. And I have the Ace of Fire, I have the Sun card, and I literally have the Law of Attraction card. And you were saying that earlier. So yeah, you just spot on there that there is something new and exciting that you want to do, but it's going to require you getting out in the sun. You're going to have to get out there in a bigger way. You're going to have to be willing to step into the spotlight. You are going to have to step away from the worry. What if I do this and this happens? What are people going to say? How much energy is that going to take? What if I get in that relationship and I'm stuck, it's like you're never stuck. You guys have a way to flow out of there anyway. So, you guys just put up with Neptune and Saturn in your sign for so long. Give yourself a break from that worry. Let yourself just go with this energy, you know, this sun card here, right? That is a fire sign, is fiery energy. We've got Neptune and Saturn now in Aries. All this fiery energy with the Ace of Fire, I think, is just really getting started with something that you're excited about, and really watching that mindset, being willing to get out in the sun and take the consequences of whatever that is, because there is going to be a way to move out of anything that you don't like. I think, you know, I do think that a lot of Pisces are worried about being stuck if they take this action, right? You know, like you talked about, like, what if I get in this relationship and then I'm miserable? It's like, well, then you change things, you swim away. But you know, there's ways to handle it differently. And I think that if, you know, maybe you're not looking for a relationship, maybe it has something to do with changing something with your work or with your family dynamics or something you're trying to do. Just remember that law of attraction card, you know, and maybe go listen to the Taurus reading too, about the vision boards and all the energy there, because I think having something to really focus on and visualize can help you with that and help you with getting you out in the sun a little bit more. So anything else coming up for you with the Pisces with the Ace of Fire and the Sun card?
Yeah, you can't be a vampire, Pisces. I think that, like we were saying at the beginning of the reading too, I think the whole, you know, wishing for life to be easy thing, you know, I think that's where Pisces does get in trouble. I can say that I'm a Pisces. It gets me into trouble. You know, it's like not, like instead of getting in an argument in a relationship, it's like Pisces just wants things to be flowy and easy. But it's like sometimes if you don't do that, then you put up with something that, you know, makes you resentful in the long haul, you know,
Right.
because you never stuck up for yourself. So
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
that's what Pisces has to work on.
You said this in one of your readings lately, and you'll have to remind me who it was, but one of your favorite authors, it says, don't wish for things to be easier, wish for you to get better. Who is that? Do you remember? Or
I asked people who said that, and I got a million answers.
So
okay. apparently a lot of famous people have said it. I think I heard Les Brown say it actually.
Oh, okay.
I think that's who I heard it from. But again, apparently a bunch of people, you know, have basically said it.
Well, I really like that for all 12 signs, you know, getting better at something. And then also just the juxtaposition of things. Like I think a lot about how, like, I'm super, super busy right now with my daughter's volleyball club season. We've never done it before. I had no idea what it was going to be like, and wow. But I sure enjoy my evenings at home way more than I did ever before. Like you appreciate things that you kind of took for granted a lot more, and then it makes it worth it. And I feel like I am getting better at the kind of chaos and the constant energy versus just being like, oh, it would be easy if we just didn't have to deal with any of this, right? You're like, it's like, I'd rather get better at navigating all this energy. So I really like that for the Pisces. Yeah. So I think that's it for Pisces. Why don't we jump into some clarification messages? But before I do that, Chris, did you have anything you wanted to let everybody know about? I know definitely go check out chrisreck.com and Minopon Tarot.
Nothing. I've been a typical Pisces. Haven't been doing a damn thing for the past 6 months. So
well,
nothing new yet. But soon.
I see you doing lots of things. I love all your impromptu videos you're doing that just find you when they're meant to find you. You guys, definitely make sure you're subscribed so those pop up. Those have really clarified a lot of the normal messages I listen to you. And go check out chrisreck.com for motivation with anything you're working on or reviewing things, because you have helped me so much, Chris. I was one of your first guinea pigs and dent makers. You've helped me with my YouTube channel. You helped me with getting started with the projects. And so definitely, if you're looking for an extra spark or a mentor, go check out all his free offerings and amazing things he has there, because I really appreciate it, Chris. You teach us all so much.
Thank you.
So we love it. And just a quick reminder, I am still offering my free replay at the link below for my How to Stop Missing the Signs event I did last week, because I'm about to close the door on my class that I'm only opening once this year on how to connect with your spiritual team, which is your passed away loved ones, guardian angels, higher self. I'm taking a small group of people through some classes. It's a both self-led and Zoom taught class, so we'll be doing both live and modules if you want to learn more about that. That link is below, and doors close this Saturday because I'm hoping to take a small group together. So I hope you'll join me if you're interested. More information there. And let's get started with our bonus messages. These are meant to clarify anything that resonated with you with all signs. I normally say this up front. I believe in listening to all 12 signs because you have all 12 signs in your chart. So Chris, whenever your Menopause videos come up, it doesn't matter to me what sign is for. I'm like, this is meant for me to hear because it's popping up in my feed. So let's clarify anything that really came through. What are you getting as clarity for Mercury retrograde?
Yeah, for the collective, we have the Eight of Cups, makes sense. The Emperor and the Two of Wands. Eight of Cups, great time. I mean, two eclipses. This is the second one coming up on the third here. So, only card in the tarot that it has an eclipse on it, and it's a great time to walk away from things that no longer serve you or just are you're settling for. I would really say settling for. The word value has come up a lot in the readings as well. I've been thinking about, and like needing to make sure that you are getting value from the things that you're doing. So if you're not, leave. You have the Emperor and the Two of Wands, a lot of leadership energy in these readings as well. So I think taking the lead, I always say Neptune and Aries, like no one's coming to save you, right? So I feel that, it's like I get a lot of questions where people are like, is the government going to do this, or the aliens going to come and save us? And all this, I'm like, no. It's like we right now, Pluto and Aquarius is a collective saving itself. So, I think that we have to, all those things that we want to do, we should be doing. All those things that we think someone else is going to do, that's what we should be doing, because we are the only ones that can do it, believe it or not. So that's what I'll say there.
Yeah. And, you brought up something that I've been getting for all my readings since the year started about really paying attention to reciprocity, which is another RE word in Mercury retrograde. If you're putting a lot of attention and energy to something, are you getting it back? Or your favorite saying is the juice worth the squeeze, right?
Yeah.
I love that. And you reminded me of something the other day. You said something, or did you get those crappy limes? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have totally gotten those crappy limes. That
I
no
hate the limes.
So yeah, you're just asking yourself, like, why am I even doing this? Am I getting back out of this that I want? And I think with this retrograde energy, we're going to realize some things that we're not, whether we like it or not. And a lot of times the eclipse energy will just take it out of your life anyways. They're like, this is a waste of your time, so let's go with it. Because we have this 9 of Air card, and I always think about your story about the dog that won't stop sitting on the nail.
Yeah.
I love that story because it is kind of like, you're not doing anything about the issue. You're just sitting there whining about it. And I think this Mercury retrograde is going to be like, hey, go ahead and list out your complaints, review them, and ask yourself, why are you putting up with it? Is it, I have this 7 of Fire card, and I know that this is about being on higher ground and choosing your battles wisely and protecting what you created. But it could also just be, again, reviewing, like, why am I doing this? Look at all those things that are just trying to bug me down there. How about I just walk away from these things and do something that makes me happy? Because we also have this inspiration card. And like I said, we have that Mercury Cazimi on the 7th, I believe, where we do have an opportunity to be inspired, to get new ideas. But it's probably going to be a new way to do something you're already doing, or a new path. You're rethinking things, reviewing things. So I say the main takeaway is anything that is inspiring you to review, reorganize, redo. That's going to be a great way to spend this Mercury retrograde. I probably should have said this in the intro, but this is one of the easier retrogrades because it sextiles Jupiter. We have another one in the water sign of Cancer it's either June or July. I can't remember if it's like late June or July. Do you know?
I think it is July.
Yeah. And then I think the third one's also a Scorpio, a water sign, I want to say, but don't quote me on that. Somebody can let us know in the comments. But I just know that looking at the year ahead, this is one of the easier Mercury retrogrades. So follow your inspirations, be willing to review things, reorganize things, and ask yourself, am I getting that reciprocity from the things I'm putting my attention and energy into? So anything else come up for you with that, for the 7 of Fire and the 9 of Air?
I think definitely reworking things like, I said it last month as well, that, I think if anyone has anything that they haven't finished that they want to finish, that they could rebirth, it is a good time. I mean, he has this Ankh right here, and it is a symbol of rebirth. So I always think of the Emperor. It's like, yeah, it's taking action. It could be a new idea, but he also is willing to rebirth something. And I just think it's a really good time to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I just think that always look at this energy as something that's giving you an opportunity to avoid bigger challenges down the road. And that'll really help you there too. Well, I love it, Chris. This is, as always, this is a total blast.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always such a fun time. And we read all your comments, you guys. Thank you so much for liking and sharing and subscribing to Minnow Tarot and all our channels, because it really helps us grow. It helps us do more of these. If you missed the eclipse energy and some of the other ones below, check those out, because it's going to bring more clarity. And I think things are going to look a little different the next time we get together, Chris, after all this eclipse energy here. So thank you again for being here. And I guess we'll see everybody next time. Bye, Chris.
Yes. Bye.